Oh, yeah.
So let me start out with just a general question. How many of you have heard that pit bulls are a naturally aggressive breed?
I have.
Yeah.
You have? Most people have. Usually when you think of this breed, you usually think of things such as attacks and them killing other dogs and stuff like that. But mainly the reason we think of that is because that is how the media portrays them. And so according to avma.org, there are 4.5 million dog attacks in the United States per year, which is quite a bit when you think about it. But if you think in perspective how many dogs we have, that is really not that many attacks per year. And so how many of you have ever been bitten by a dog? Have you ever been scared in the presence of another dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
So how many of you think that aggression is directly correlated to the breed of the dog? Such as a pit bull is more aggressive than, say, a chihuahua, maybe?
No.
No? So, many of us have grown up fearing pit bulls because of the media. However, data and statistics have shown that there is really no reason to fear them any more than any other dog. So pit bulls are not an aggressive breed naturally. Mainly they have this reputation because of they are raised in a household that is tended to make them more aggressive because of what they are used for. But any dog can be aggressive. And training and statistics have shown that any dog can be aggressive based on how they are trained and the environment that they are brought up in. And so today I'm going to discuss statistics about several dog breeds over a test that they run called the American Temperament Test Society. And so what they do in this test is they run dogs through a series of tests that is a neighborhood scenario. And what marks a dog as failing is if they completely avoid a situation. So if they come across something and they cower down and run away, that is failing in the eyes of the test. Another thing is that they panic without recovery. So if the dog is shaking and all that, and they can't continue to go on, that is also. And the last part of failing is if they show aggression, which is obviously one that would show them as failing. So if a dog is aggressive, they automatically fail the test through the American Temperament Test Society. And so out of all of the dogs they tested, the ones that actually showed the highest failing percentages are ones that you would actually not expect. And so at the top of the list is a Dachshund. Out of all the Dachshunds that they tested, 32% of them actually failed the test, which is an extremely high statistic, but in the media you never hear anything about a Dachshund attacking anybody. The second on the list is actually a Chihuahua, which if you've ever been around Chihuahuas, they're very yippy and they bark a lot, but they never really bite you. But a Chihuahua actually failed the test 31% of the time, which is just 1% below a Dachshund and still extremely high on the list. Next on the list is actually a Dalmatian, which honestly surprised me whenever I saw that because we usually think of a Dalmatian as working with a fire department or something, so we think of them to be very friendly dogs. But Dalmatians actually failed 19% of the time. And then next on the list is actually a German Shepherd, which we have heard to be aggressive, but they're actually much lower than Chihuahuas and stuff, only being at 15%. After that, just right below them is a Siberian Husky, which you think of Siberian Husky, you think, oh, live up north, a lot of people around them, they're going to be very friendly dogs, which 13% of them failed, which is very low compared to Chihuahua. Now, 10th on the list is actually Pit Bulls. And when you get to Pit Bulls, only 12.5% of them failed. And because they are known to have such an aggressive tendency, they actually tested a lot more Pit Bulls than any other category of dog. And so they tested 1,500 Pit Bulls, and only 12.5% of them actually failed. And so this shows that this statistic is actually a data point that is very good because they used a wide variety of dogs. But the reason that they are aggressive is because of they're brought up. But if you bring them up in the right environment, then they can actually have shown to be very, very good dogs. And so some of the steps you can take to make them a good dog is, the first one is socialization. Socialization is putting them in an environment which makes them comfortable and used to a wide array of things that could happen, such as being around other dogs, being around a lot of people, and stuff like that. Because if you keep a dog locked up all the time and then you put him in an environment where there's a lot going on, then he's not going to be used to it. He's going to freak out or react in a way that is not usual to the way he would originally react. And so by putting him in these situations, you can help him be more comfortable so that whenever he is around this a lot more often, he will not lash out at someone or something that is not typical to his behavior. Second is proper training. And so yes, training is directly correlated to them being aggressive, but you have to remember to do the right type of training. It's not just any training that they need. And so a kind of die-hard rule you can go by is aggressive training leads to aggressive tendencies. And so if you're training them hard and aggressively and stuff like that, then they are going to grow up to be that tight wound unit that they will lash out at any moment. And so you need to remember that just because you train them, you need to train them properly and to get them trained by either yourself or someone that you trust to train your animal. Next is being a responsible owner. So one of these ways to be responsible is to spay or neuter them. Whenever you spay or neuter your animal, this makes them not be as hyper and to be a lot more mellow animal, and they will not lash out as they are looking to protect their house, or so to speak, something like that. And so next is education. And education is not education for the dog. Education is for us as humans. And so this is how to approach a dog as well as when to approach a dog. And so leading into that is also avoiding risky situations. And so in these, you need to know that if a dog is sleeping or eating, you do not need to avoid them. You need to avoid them and to not interrupt them, because whenever you wake them up, that leads to you startling them and them being in a situation that they immediately lash out because they just wake up or they're eating and they're protective in those situations. Next, you need to never reach through a fence, which is, you should never reach over a fence if there's a dog there, but sometimes we see a dog and we want to pet it, so we need to remember that. And then the last one is kind of obvious. If a dog is growling or barking, chances are you probably shouldn't pet it, but we need to remember that and to keep it at the back of our minds, because sometimes we just see a dog and we think, oh, it's okay, as soon as I pet it, they will calm down. So as I conclude, I just want to say that pit bulls are not a naturally aggressive breed. The reason they're this way is because they are raised. However, if we follow these steps to raise them and raise them in a loving environment with the proper training and household, then we can lead them to be great dogs that everyone can love and respect, as well as show the world that they are not aggressive, but they can be great household pets just like anything else. Thank you.